New accusations of racism against President Trump.
This after the president's latest comments about a group of Democratic Congresswomen.
Calling them foreign-born troublemakers, the president advised them to go back where they came from.
All 4 women are U.S. citizens, all but 1 born here.
President Trump implied these 4 lawmakers were not born in the U.S. Well, the president's attack on the U.S. Congresswomen came after they publicly criticized the immigration policies.
The president posted a series of tweets. In one of those messages, he suggested the Congresswomen return to their native countries.
In a series of tweets today, President Trump wrote progressive Democrat Congresswomen who originally came from other countries should go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came. It appears the progressive Democrat Congresswomen the president was referring to are Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, and Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts. The 4 women have been critical of the president's immigration policies. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has been publicly feuding with the group of women recently, but quickly came to their defense today, tweeting his plan to make America great again has always been about making America white again. Here's New Jersey Senator and presidential candidate Cory Booker.
I haven't seen the tweets, but what you just said to me are racist dog whistles. What you just said to me is vile. What you just said to me divides this country, and that's what Trump wants.
Later, Ocasio-Cortez tweeted, "Mr. President, the country I come from and the country we all swear to is the United States. And on top of not accepting an America that elected us, you cannot accept that we don't fear you either."
President Trump is facing serious backlash tonight for a Twitter attack on 4 Democratic Congresswomen who are vocal opponents of his policies.
Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley is firing back at President Trump for a series of tweets this morning, apparently attacking her and 3 other freshman Democrats in Congress. Without naming the women directly, Trump tweeted that the progressive Congresswomen should go back to the countries they came from. Pressley tweeted back today, quote, "This is what racism looks like. We are what democracy looks like, and we're not going anywhere except back to D.C. to fight for the families you marginalize and vilify every day." Democratic presidential candidate Cory Booker, campaigning in New Hampshire today, said Trump had crossed the line of civility.
He really wants us to divide us against each other. He wants to call to the baser, more vile elements of this world that are about judging people, about condemning people, demeaning people, degrading people. And, you know, for the women he's talking about, he won't win.
The other Congresswomen Trump was apparently tweeting about were New York's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Minnesota's Ilhan Omar, and Michigan's Rashida Tlaib. Of the 4, only Ilhan Omar was born in another country. That would be Somalia.
Yeah, I'm so sick of people being told they don't belong here because they disagree with those in power. I remember an experience like that happening to my father, who came to this country, became a citizen, was passionate about this country, and was once heckled when he was speaking out at a protest by somebody who told him to go home. And he told him, "I am home." And he was. He built, along with my mother, a family in our part of Indiana. And it is often those who are newest to this country who have such a vivid sense of what it means to be an American because they chose to be. Then again, most of the people the president was talking about were born right here. Bottom line is, wherever you were born, we ought to afford a certain level of respect, especially to every American elected official speaking out about their values. And, you know, the idea of questioning somebody's belonging because they are questioning those in power, that's something that has a long and dark history in this country. And it's something we ought to put behind us.
Do you think that tweet was racist?
Yes, I do.
President Trump is under fire for his latest tweets on Sunday, telling a group of Democratic Congresswomen to go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came. While he did not mention names, Trump appeared to be referring to first-year representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, and Rashida Tlaib. Only Omar, whose family left Somalia as refugees, was born outside the United States. Democrats condemned the remarks as racist. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi came to their defense, calling Trump's comments xenophobic. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin also spoke out on CBS's Face the Nation.
When we are dealing with mass arrest and mass deportation,
And that kind of careless rhetoric by the president, it doesn't help one bit.
Durbin says he's never seen fear at such a high level in the Hispanic community as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers on Sunday began mass roundups of undocumented immigrants across the country.
Sometimes people do use racism or at least xenophobia or whatever, bigotry, to appeal to people. Let us now turn to the tweets that were sent by President Trump this morning, in which he told progressive Democratic congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt and inept anywhere in the world, etc., and are viciously telling the people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government is to be run. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Now, first of all, Cuccinelli wouldn't say who President Trump was talking about, but if we're talking about those 4 congresswomen, only one of the 4 was born in a different country, Ilhan Omar from Minnesota. She is a U.S. citizen. She came to this country legally, what do you make of the president telling them to go back where they came from?
I mean, he was on strong ground saying Nancy Pelosi is not a racist. Look at these crazy people. They fling around these accusations for political benefit, and it's meaningless. But then he gets on Twitter this morning, maybe because he wanted in on the fight, he wasn't getting enough attention, and says, go back to your home countries. Maybe some people do think the Bronx is a foreign country. Okay. But this is just, it's too much. But these are things you hear on Fox News all the time. If you don't like it, go back to where you came from. And he's just parroting that.
What do you make of it?
It's incredibly racist. I think we're a nation of immigrants. The electorate elects you to get to Congress to represent values in your district. And as Andrew mentioned, you represent much more than that. I'm proud to be the daughter of immigrants from Mexico. I'm proud to bring a perspective and experience to Congress in my policy decision making. And that's what the diversity of the Democratic Party does. And I'm proud that we have more women in Congress and more women of color in Congress than ever before.
This land is your land, and this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I went a-walking that ribbon of highway, and I saw above me that endless skyway, I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps in the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts. All around me, a voice was a-sounding, this land was made for you and me. There was a big high wall there that tried to stop me. The sign was painted, said private property, but on the backside it didn't say nothing. This land was made for you and me. When the sun comes shining, then I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling. A voice was chanting as the fog was lifting. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, and this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me.
also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. There were people in that rally, and I looked the night before. If you look, there were people protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. But you had a lot of people in that group that were there to innocently protest.
For him, see, white folks can criticize America. Black folks cannot. Patriotism is for black people. Did y'all not know that? Patriotism is for people of color. Patriotism is what people of color have to show just to be appreciative of all they've been given. But when white folks complain about America, white people can actually make a whole campaign slogan and a pretty little hat that's based on a criticism of America. Because when I make a hat that says "Make America Great Again," did I not just pretty much tell you that my opinion of America is that it sucks right now? Like, that's pretty much the implicit message of that hat. The message is America sucks and needs to be made great again, because right now it's terrible. If a black person were to say that, if a brown person were to say that, if a person of color of any kind were to say that, folks would call them unpatriotic, ungrateful, hateful, tell them to find another country. A white dude says that and white folks will make him president. That tells you all you need to know about this country.